Hi everybody, it's Lisa Campion. I'm wanted to talk today about setting boundaries for sensitives. This is a little um, talk that I'm doing about psychic self-defense um, and boundaries is part of it. So a couple days ago I talked about the role that our energy field plays in our psychic self-defense, and today I want to talk about boundaries. It's really all psychic self-defense comes down to boundaries. And boundaries really just a fancy way of learning to say no. No, that's what a boundary is. It's a no, right? It's very hard for us sensitives and empaths to set boundaries and to say no to people because we care. We're like all mergy with the world and mergy with other people. We really feel everyone else's pain because that's what sensitives and empaths do. So it's hard to come up with a no. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, because I'm an energy healer and I always think about things in terms of the chakras, I wanted to talk about the third chakra's role in saying no. So the third chakra is the solar plexus chakra, and it's where we hold our sense of self, our selfhood, our self-esteem, our personal power. And this is the chakra that you really need strong if you're going to say no. So sort of no, a no comes from a sense of feeling self-worth. You have to feel worthy of saying a no. It's kind of trite, but I like it, this idea that, saying yes to me is saying no to you, like I'm saying yes to myself when I'm saying no to you. And the third chakra is that solar plexus, that personal power, self-esteem chakra, is the one that really needs to feel the yeses and the nos. And this is very difficult for most sensitives and empaths to think about. We become a little numb to feeling our own yes and no. We tend to think about everybody else's problems, everybody else's needs as more important, more worthy than our own. So we become numb to our inner yes and no. Here's an example. Like somebody you really care about asks you for something, and because you're a sensitive and an empath, you feel how badly they need it, how much pain they're in, or what a big problem it is for them. And in that moment, you're like, oh, I really love that person. I can do it. And we kind of leave ourselves and go be in their situation for a while. And if you're going to do that, of course, you're going to say yes, because we don't want our people to be in pain, right? So I think that's a bad habit, really, that a lot of sensitive people get used to doing. And I want you to think about it from the other person's perspective for a minute, because I don't really trust people when I can't trust your yes or your no, I can't really trust you. I feel uneasy around people like that. And I'm sure if you think about it, you can find some time in the past where you asked somebody to do something and they said yes, even though they should have said no. How does that feel for you? Doesn't it feel kind of gross? Doesn't it feel like weird and icky and you don't really care, and you just wish they'd been honest? You just wish they had said no, because now there's a weird thing between the two of you, and you're like, oh my God, I shouldn't have asked them. They said yes. They should have said no. I wouldn't have cared if they had said no, but now we're stuck, right? Well, guess what? This is what you're doing all the time. If you're not being honest with your yeses and nos, you're actually not kind of a trustworthy person. It sounds sort of blunt to say it that way, but I can relax and feel safe around people when I trust that they're going to give me an honest yes or no, right? So you're not doing anyone any favors by slipping your no. That's what I'm trying to say. You're not, okay? And I know it takes a lot of practice, and it's really hard to say no to people. Especially like it's your family, it's your kids, it's your mother-in-law, it's your spouse, right? But the truth is, we train people over time how to treat us. And if you're a person that says yes all the time, you've kind of trained your family or the people around you to expect that you're going to put yourself second and you're going to put their needs first. So what happens when you start to change that? People don't really like it when you start saying no. If you haven't been a person that said no very much, and all of a sudden you start doing it, you might have like a little mutiny going on. Maybe there's a meltdown that happens, but you train them one way, you're going to train them the other way. So if you train them to always expect you to say yes, Now you've got to train them to expect some no's, right? It's going to take a little time for them to adjust to the no. But what really happens, truthfully, is that when they're done having their hissy fit about your no, they will respect you. Saying no and setting boundaries makes people respect you. It engenders respect in other people, I promise you. Yes, they might have a little fit, but over time they'll come to respect you. And there are a lot of people that when they don't, if you don't have a boundary and they can't feel your boundary, they're not going to feel safe around you. And they may push you harder and harder and harder until they actually find your boundary. And you totally know what I'm talking about if you have kids. So if you're an empath or a sensitive and you don't have very good boundaries, your kids will feel weird around you. They're not going to really feel safe unless you feel your boundary, unless they can feel your boundary. And once they, especially little kids, when they can feel your boundary, they will feel safe, right? So I guess, really think about it. You're not doing anyone any favors by having a weak boundary. It's confusing and weird and upsetting for the people that are around you as well as for you. So that being said, sometimes it's hard to learn how to say no. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips, right? First of all, never agree to anything in the moment, because you're almost always going to say yes if you are being spontaneous about it. So get in the habit of saying, can I tell you, if somebody asks you for something, get in the habit of saying, can I let you know tomorrow? I have to check my calendar, I have to ask my husband, whatever your thing is. And then when you're away from that person, you give yourself 24 hours to really feel inside of you whether it's a yes or a no. And this is where if you become numb to your own yes and no's, it might take you a while to figure out what's true for you. You might have to be alone, or you might have to be away from the person that's asking you. And if you get kind of quiet, you're going to feel in yourself, in your body, that am I a yes to this or am I a no? And if I'm a yes to something, I feel tingly, light, excitement, pleasure. If I'm a no, I feel kind of like no. I feel it's just like an uneasiness or a queasiness or just like a stiffness in my spine, like no, So then the next day, when you've really felt it, you can give them the yes or no. And I do think it's important to come up with a lot of really nice ways to say no. Learn a bunch. Learn 10 really nice ways to say no. I usually say, I'd really, really love to help you, but right now I can't. I so wish that I could, and right now I can't get it in my schedule. I'm overcommitted. I have too much going on right now. You learn a bunch of nice ways to say no, because no doesn't have to be mean. It can be polite. You can find ways to say no without feeling like you're being mean. That's a problem that a lot of sensitives and empaths have with a no, right? So just find nice ways to do it and practice it. Look in the mirror and practice. I'd really like to help you, but right now I can't, okay? And while you're learning, you can also let your technology kind of stand between yourself and others. So let your phone ring. That person who always calls you and asks you for something, let your phone ring to voicemail, even if it's your mother, even if it's your mother-in-law, right? And like give yourself some space so that you're not on the hook, right? Answer your emails like a day later. You can use all the technology we have to kind of create and strengthen the boundary between you and other people. I have a virtual assistant, so my assistant Kelly is a big part of the way that I kind of create a boundary between myself and the world. Like, you kind of have to get through her to get to me. She doesn't have any problem saying no on my behalf. So we can find all these ways to kind of support us while we're really learning to do it. And I just think it's so important, and we really have to work on it. Us sensitives, empaths, healer types, caregiver types, we just have to work it. And we have to kind of get over the fact that we feel really mean when we're saying no. So I hope you try it. I hope that you really practice it and find a good way, and really remember that your no is a way of loving yourself, is a way of taking care of yourself, is a way of putting yourself first. And don't forget that they don't really feel good if you're lying about your yes and no. They know, people know, and it doesn't feel good to them, right? So things will just go so much better and easier in your life. And when you practice a lot of yes and no's, you're going to be much more tuned into them, and your intuition will kind of pick up your yes and no's in the moment, so you get really good at feeling them. So there you go. Practice your yes and no, and you'll find so much freedom in learning how to say no and feeling really good about it. That's my psychic self-defense tip of the day. Have a great time. I think we're going to talk again tomorrow about um, figuring out what things to let go of if you have too many attachments in your life. It's another part of psychic self-defense. If you have too many people hanging on your energy, or you have I want to talk about energy vampires because that's such a hot topic with empaths, and I have a very controversial view on that subject. So tune in tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. In the meantime, say no a lot, okay? Bye.